Can the speak upon a matter of privilege suddenly arising, and he shall be prepared to move without notice. A motion declaring that the content of breach of privilege has been
allowed suspension immediately.
Then when you get your seat, I'll recognize you.
Arise TV on fire over the maltreatment of Senator Akpabio, Senate President Akpabio, or Senator Natasha, an opposition member. Now, some of you have seen the viral video, all right, and Nigerians have been reacting. Before you see the water that was given to Akpabio from Arise TV, I want to say some few things. Are you guys surprised? Or haven't you noticed that Senator Akpabio naturally, he doesn't have respect for ladies or women? Are you aware? I can't read ladies. Number one, there was this lady, the video went viral some time ago. Are we on that video? Please kindly comment in the comment section. Who accused Akpabio, the issue of the Sopatex stuff, right? To do certain things, with able to enter, take an oath with him. She refused. Number two, have you people remember the Senate the way also treated Senator the Labour Party senator, I've forgotten her name, like Senator Ireti Kigigbe. Senator Ireti Kigigbe of Labour Party. Have you people remember? Have you people forgotten? The the glassbones she had with Senator Akpabio at the chamber recently. Okay, now Senator Natasha. I've just counted 3 women that I know. Now, are you guys surprised? Why is it that Senator Akpabio, Senate President Akpabio, don't have respect for women? Why? That's what you're wondering. The reason is because this guy doesn't do women what he do, Nama. Who is the godfather of Bobrisky? Make I stop there. See, this video you are about to hear. The glass bloody water. Arise TV gave to this guy. You can't afford not to watch this video to the end. Please don't miss any part. But as you watch this video before you start it, just start liking and start sharing the place, I beg. Because if you don't share this video, it means you are condoning the insult, the maltreatment of Senator Akpabio on women. That's just the truth. A person like this, a leader like this, Senate President, such character need to be exposed. Please share this video if you hate such nonsense. Thank you.
Of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, and the lawmaker representing Kogi Central, Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, over a change in sitting arrangements on the floor of the Senate on Thursday. The disagreement began when Akpoti-Uduaghan's seat was reassigned at the start of plenary, but she refused to comply with the reallocation. The chief whip of the Senate, Mr. Mungono, cited constitutional provisions and warned that failure to adhere to the new seating arrangement could have consequences. Will Akpabio back Mungono? And when Akpoti-Uduaghan attempted to speak from her original seat, she was denied recognition. Well, let's take a look at the altercation before we come back for a discussion.
Order, please.
Dismiss Senator Natasha, please. You are not recognized to speak from there. That is the order of the Senate.
Sir, order 10 on privileges. Order 10 on privileges.
Senator Natasha.
Any senator may rise at any time to speak upon a matter of privilege suddenly arising, and he shall be prepared to move without notice. A motion declaring that the content of breach of privilege has been
allowed suspension immediately.
one-woman army. I mean, this woman was strong and fierce, but you know, you guys had a guest earlier who said, fortunately, she was not suspended because obviously probably doesn't have the right to suspend her, but the language there was kick her out of the Senate, which, you know, a lot of people were very upset about. And you know that this is not the first time we're seeing this sort of altercation between the Senate President and Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. But you know that they have released a lot of, different statements, and I'll read some of them as to the reason why the altercation went ahead. And one of the comments that were made from the Senate was non-compliance, breach of Senate rules. 1. Key violation, section 1012. Senators must sit in assigned seats to be recognized for contribution. Section 56.1 allows the Senate President to rule any senator out of order if procedural guidelines are violated. Senator Natasha's refusal to sit in her reassigned seat and attempts to contribute from an unassigned position breached Senate protocol. That's what the Senate is saying. But you know that Natasha had said, her argument was that she was reading from a book. And one of the comments she read from a book was that, Order 10 on privileges. Natasha said, any senator may rise at any time to speak upon a matter of privilege suddenly arising, and he shall be prepared to move without notice a motion declaring that contempt or breach of privilege has been committed, or referring to the matter to the Committee on Ethics and Privileges. But if the matter is raised in Committee of the whole Senate, the chairman shall leave the chair to report progress. I had to help Natasha read that section, that order that she was refused to read out for the Senate. And we didn't understand why the Senate President just couldn't, exercise a little bit of patience just to listen to her for a bit. But let me just take some comments. I know we have to take the reactions because Nigerians have spoken. This is from Rinu Oduola. She wrote, just 7 months ago, Akpabio insulted Senator Natasha in the chamber, saying the Senate is not a nightclub where anybody can talk anyhow. Today, he asked security to take a democratically elected senator out of the chamber. What does Akpabio have against Natasha Akpoti? Then Flying Scholar wrote, Nigeria has yet to achieve even 15% representation of women in politics, and the few who have been duly elected still face various forms of oppression. Shame on Senate President Akpabio. This is not the first time he has attempted to silence his colleagues, particularly women, in the chamber. Well, another response that, the Senate had, reacted to was that, the adjustment was not singularly targeted at Senator Natasha Akpoti. They wrote clarification. Multiple senators were affected due to party realignment. Traditional Senate protocol. Newer members typically start in back rows and move forward. Senator Natasha's reassignment moved her closer to the front, a positive sign of her growing stature. Well, Rufai, before you speak, because I know that you're ready. In the wake of all that drama, an old video surfaced online showing the then Senator, Godswill Akpabio, flouting the Senate standing order under the Saraki-led Senate. In the video, Akpabio insisted on speaking even while he was not permitted to speak by the then Senate President, Bukola Saraki. Let's take a look.
You can go to your seat. Then when you get to your seat, I'll recognize you.
Next to Senator Kwankwaso, until I was led by the sergeant at arms that this is my seat.
I asked the clerk. I asked the clerk whether he allocated that seat to you. He said he didn't.
He told me he would prefer to sit here. So I said there is no microphone there, but he said he would still prefer to sit there.
If there's been a senator that I've allowed to speak without a microphone, state. That's never happened in this chamber. All we said is there's no microphone where you are. Go to a place where there's one and you can speak. Now you have the floor, speak and let us make progress.
All right, that was then Senator Akpabio there. He wasn't even sitting, he was standing and arguing with Bukola Saraki. He was standing, he wasn't even on the chair. They didn't ask exactly. They didn't say walk him out.
Yeah.
But let me read another comment from the Senate, and which is backing what Akpabio had flouted at that time. Upholding parliamentary order and decorum. The Senate operates under structure. The Senate's President's decision was lawful, necessary, and aligned with parliamentary norms. The assertion of unfair treatment is unfounded, as Senator Natasha's actions breached the Senate's standing orders. In parliamentary democracy, rules ensure fairness, not individual preference. I mean, look at that. You have been itching. Go ahead. I'm giving you the floor.
I mean, I don't believe in all of these rebuttals by Akpabio's people from his office, from taxpayers' money being paid to them. They are doing their job.
They're doing their job.
What did we see? We saw constant attempts to silence Natasha, which we will not take. And please, for Mr. Akpabio and the likes of his ilk that don't respect women in this country, please remind them that women also fought for this democracy. In case you don't know, you can go and read up on the likes of Gambo Sawaba. Women also got beaten for this democracy. They fought for the nationhood of this country. So we must respect them. Because I've seen a constant attitude. That's why when the senator came here and was trying to defend the indefensible, he did it. In fact, it was because of public outcry, Senator Akpabio had to appeal and apologize to Natasha Akpoti the last time when he said this place is not a beer parlor, it's not a club and things like that. He's done it many times. What's the bone of contention sits here? You can have a tiff as regards sitting positions and all of that. There can be reactions and counter-reaction. But the words uttered by Senator Akpabio by saying, we'll tell the Sergeant of Arms to take you out. Who told them to take him out when he did his? Oh, we'll suspend you. That's the high-handed nature. And that's why I wasn't surprised when the senator came here and says, our father. Who is your father? Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Is that it? Is that what the Senate has become? Professor Monzingo, she must be given a right to speak. As she was standing on pre-existing privileges, orders, while she was saying it, just like what Akpabio too stood on. At least let her make her points. And the next thing since yesterday, the media office of Akpabio and his cohorts have been in overdrive, spinning all sorts of stories and bringing them out, trying as much as possible. Why are they on the offensive?
Right.
We must give her a chance to speak. He likes it or he doesn't like it. He must learn how to treat women properly. He likes it or doesn't like it, and we must reiterate it. I'm not saying you can't have a tiff, but the way you handle it is what will make you different here.
Yeah.
And please, for the sake of balance, I also want Natasha Akpoti, if she can grant us this event, to come and state her own side of the year.
Yeah.
Because it is only one side we've heard favoring Senator Akpabio, a senator coming to speak. Natasha, please, the floor is yours.
The floor is hers.
Come on this show, probably Abuja next week. State your own side of the story.
Right.
We must speak up for women.
Yeah.
And this is ongoing. This has been on for quite a while.
It has.
And enough of it.
It's not the first time. It's not the first time.
Abba.
Yeah, she
down with it.
Very good. She was not allowed to read from the Senate rules book at that point. I mean, I'm getting comments from people saying that at the end of the clip I played before, Akpabio apologized to Saraki. I don't know what difference that made, because he actually was not sitting on his rightful seat, and he was challenging, his lawmakers at the same time, all because of the sitting arrangements. I mean, Ayo.
Besides, the tone and manner in which Senate President Saraki handled that matter was vastly different from his.
Yeah?
There was no point at any time where the sergeants of arms were called in to walk him out, or where he was told that he would, and he wasn't given an audience to speak. In fact, he had the opportunity to stand up, and this was what we're trying to drive home. Yes, you can say that, she should have gone to her seat, but she also was trying to establish a point, and that was what I was saying to the deputy chief whip who came earlier today, saying that she wasn't given an opportunity to speak. And that is where there was an evidence of bias there, whether you agree with it or not, that she also talked about how she had been maligned a number of times where she would raise her hand and she wouldn't be recognized by the Senate. These are the voices of senators speaking out against what they see as discrimination, especially, and I hate to do that, play the female, this woman senator card. We often talk about bringing more women into politics, but when they make you know how she got here. You know how her road was blocked, the fight against the governor, Yahaya Bello, everything that happened. So this is not a woman who got there easily. And then she gets there after fighting, and then she goes through hell trying to establish herself. And people are saying that, in fact, I will see rubbish comments like, doesn't she have a husband? And what has marriage got to do with her business in the Senate? What has the fact that she's a woman got to do with her business in the Senate? So whether we like it or not, there are cultural nuances based on this, with regards to she's a woman, why she being like, she's new, doesn't she know how to behave? They say that nice girls don't get the corner office, and this is what Senator Natasha, unfortunately, has to prove. We've seen it in other parliaments around the world where women had to assert themselves. How many female senators' voices do we hear in this current House of the Senate? I hope that the Senate President would leave a legacy of enabling equity and fairness across board. I can almost bet that if it were someone else, he probably would have been treated with better respect. Yes. And so I think voices, whether you're a woman or man, should rise up in defense. She's a woman, she's a mother, she's a daughter, it could be anyone you know to speak about this. And let me just say as well that when it comes to suspension, during Ali Ndume's case, the judge ruled that it's the people, his constituents, that voted him in. And if you suspend a sitting senator, you deprive that senatorial district from having a voice in a representation. Right. Because what could happen is that even though they're not suspended, they will seal her office and really intimidate her. We must push against that. Kogi Central deserves to have its voice there, and that voice in the Senate is Senator Natasha Akpoti Uduaghan. Whether you like it or not, she's there to stay, and we are very proud of her.
The lady must be heard.
Right,
the lady must be heard.
Professor Anthony Killer, I actually enjoyed your submission at the end of the news headlines where you talked about decorum. And that is really the crux of the matter. And that's really what needs to be done at the floor of the
that's
Senate.
a very important thing. Let's be very clear. Akpabio is not Saraki. There's a lot of things.
Sub or something.
Oh, it's a statement.
Let's just leave it.
Let's not throw this sub.
Let's just leave that at that.
I can't relax, Oji. That's a sub. In fact, I'm speaking for Akpabio now.
But the point here that we need to make, though, is that there's something about Nigerian politicians that they turn one to somebody who goes left and right because they all do odd things, not to use another word. I repeat, there should be less drama and more action than our legislators. Action. It is wrong. By the way, today is 28th of February. It's 2 weeks to 8th of March. I will advise Akpabio, if his media people are going around, to, from now, order 1,000 mimosas, and on the 8th of March to send it to 1,000 women, 774 from each local government, a bit to Abuja and a bit to some selected places. That's how I got my 1,000 number. So I've even done the...
You've done the math.
The maths and the slotting for him. It is a very dangerous thing to, in 2025, to be termed as misogynist. It is so archaic, it is so uncool, it is so everything you can think of. And I think whether Akpabio is misogynist or not, if there is a risk that is being perceived as misogynist, he should quickly work against it. Now, to the women in Senate and in politics in general, I think the time has come for them to set themselves a quote-unquote hidden agenda to say, I am going to go into that room and I'm not going to be a bimbo. And I believe they should earn it. And I also think that, this is what I tell my daughters, and I also think that voters, if they care about gender inclusion, if they care about equality, they should punish and reward people who act one way or the other against equality. There should be a bias. There's enough women vote in this country, in the world, to control men.
All right, well said, Professor Anthony Killer, well said. Well, we'll follow up on the story. Hopefully we'll get Natasha Akpoti's rebuttal. We'll take another story now. Reactions have trailed the revolution by former military president Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, after he acknowledged that the late MKO Abiola won the presidential election held on June 12, 1993. IBB's revelation came at the book launch of his autobiography, A Journey in Service, in Abuja on Thursday. Babangida annulled the June 12 election, sparking widespread protests and unrest in the country. But 3 decades after the annulment, during the review of his autobiography, former Vice President Yemi Osinbajo read a section that shed light on the events surrounding the annulment.
Although I am on record to have stated after the elections that Abiola may not have won the elections, upon deeper reflection and a closer examination of all available facts, particularly the detailed election results, which are published as an appendix to this book, there was no doubt that MKO Abiola won the June 12th elections. Upon closer examination of the original collated figures from the 110 polling booths nationwide, it was clear that he satisfied the 2 main constitutional requirements for winning the presidential elections, mainly majority votes and geographical spread. Having obtained 8,128,720 votes against Tofa's 5,848,247 votes, and securing the mandatory 1/3 of the votes cast in 28 states of the Federation, including Abuja.
All right, reactions have trailed. Let me take this from characteristics. We wrote, better late than never. I was a very young teenager, not eligible to vote during the June 12, 1993 elections. And in my lifetime, I have never seen such a robust campaign that got the attention of the whole nation, both young and old. The jingles on radios and televisions for both the NRC and, of course, that of the SDP were top-notch. I still remember part of the jingle. Abiola na my manu, SDP na the party to solve all our problems for better tomorrow. SDP, Kingibe, Abiola, Abiola, progress. Oh, what a memory. Nigeria indeed lost an opportunity to advance, and generations lost an opportunity to see their nation compete in the Committee of Nations for years, all because of a leadership that couldn't look beyond its nostrils. Well, former military head of state Ibrahim Babangida on Thursday expressed regret over the annulment of the June 12, 1993 presidential election, describing it the most difficult period of his life.
As the leader of the military administration, I accept full responsibility for all decisions taken under my watch. And June 12 happened under my watch. Mistakes, oversights, and missteps happened in quick succession. But I say in my book, in all matters we acted in the supreme national interest so that Nigeria could survive. Our nation's march to democracy was interrupted, a fact that I deeply regret, but Nigeria survived and democracy is still alive, a testament to our resilience and commitment to progress.
I must say I was very impressed by this. Rufai, you were there, but I'd like to just sum up the whole reaction before I come to you, Rufai. Well, during the review of the book launch, former Vice President Osinbajo jokingly remarked that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was now celebrating with his former tormentors. He recalled how Tinubu, who was a senator at the time, resisted the dissolution of the Senate under Sani Abacha following the annulment of the June 12, 1993 presidential election.
And then, of course, there's a gentleman here who was an elected senator in 1992 in the course of Babangida's transition program. When Babangida annulled the 1993 election and General Abacha took over and dissolved the Senate, that senator tried to reconstitute the Senate in resistance to the dissolution. He was detained, charged to court. He escaped into exile. Today, he is also here to celebrate with his former tormentors. But as President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
For me, that was the highlight of the evening. I mean, Ayo was saying it's great that we can all laugh about this at this moment, but you know that room was filled with dignitaries at the moment, including, of course, former President Olusegun Obasanjo, who chaired the occasion. Well, at that occasion, he told Ibrahim Babangida to expect good and bad and ugly reactions to his book.
I am anxious to read the book. One thing is absolutely sure. Reaction galore. Again, it will be good, bad, and ugly. But your duty must be due, and you have done it.
He has done it, right? Let me take more reactions. This is from Gimba, who wrote, and then came General Babangida's book launch. The political class is one big family. 35 years ago, some of the people in that Transcorp room didn't see eye to eye, and you would have sworn they would never get along. I don't know what you think about karma, but IBB has had the most perfect ending anyone could imagine, celebrated by those who once antagonized him. Even without an apology, he would have still been friends with some of them. That's the reality of class struggle, something Karl Marx once warned us about, and that is a fact. But you know, another thing that was quite, I mean, I don't know what to call it, awesome at the event was the amount of money that was raised for the library. Let me take this Sarki's tweet. He wrote, over 17 billion was donated at the launch of IBB's autobiography, yet they can't come together to remove children from the streets in the north and put an end to Almajiri. God sees us all. I mean, that's an actual fact. 6 billion was raised and counting. I believe Aliko Dangote donated about 8 billion, and it was going to be 2 billion every year. It's a lot of money. A quick wrap up.
So a couple of things. Gimba was right.
Yes.
And that's the thing about class struggles.
Class struggles.
The truth is, and that's why I kept on asking the question, Awonko, the people that will never be able to be in this room. The likes of somebody that called me yesterday, Ambassador Musbao, that lost his sight in the June 12 struggle. Only recently, the likes of Frank Kokori just passed. What about the other people? The Jolins, Bagala Kalto. Where are they? They'll never sit in this room. Even before this day, yes, fences have been mended all this while. They've had association, they've had conversation. The real winners were those that were up there. What about the losers? Those that will never be up there. Those that cheer on those in the limelight. Can we spare a thought for them this morning? Because I feel the real heroes of June 12th, apart from MQ Abiola, are those on the streets of Lagos that were killed by stray bullets, are those that were incarcerated, are those that never saw the next day, are those that had to run away on exile, but today they are not celebrated. They've told their own stories in different ways, but they will never be in the room high up there.
Right.
Orji was a packed room. It was a packed room where governors scampered for seats. It was a room where you had about close to five Nigerian leaders and 2 leaders of other African countries. So it was highly, highly anticipated, and Babangida got his hurrah. But the truth is, what about those left behind in this class struggle? And that's why, coming back to the next tweet, we must make a society where we truly think of our Marjorie children. And also the problem of our Marjorie is to change the cultural mindset of a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Because I know Goodluck Jonathan did do a lot to build schools, but there's also a cultural mindset.
Yes.
And also, in fixing the problem, when this library is built, it will be open to everybody in Mina. He could have chosen to build it anywhere, but he's going to be building this in Mina. So it's also going to help people get an education. Also going to help people to be able to read. But except we build a society, which we have not built 32 years on,
Right.
that looks out for the weak amongst us, rather than a society that only celebrates the strong, Nigeria will never achieve its full potential.
Well said, Rufai, well said. I feel like even giving you a round of applause for that song. It was beautiful. Well, Ayo, guess what the picture of the day was for me? History was made on that table. If you can pull up the picture of the day. There you go. Heads of states, our former heads of, presidents, and of course we had Ibrahim Babangida there, President Tinubu, and of course Yakubu Gowon. History was made yesterday because we don't know when all these leaders will gather together. So for me, that was the picture of the day, a sentence that we moved.
Yeah, Rufai said it's that a lot of people, all the, except for President Buhari, leaving presidents were present there. He sent a representative. When I made that statement, and I'll say this about, glad they can laugh about it, I said it with a side eye, so that I'm clear on that.
Yes.
Because I watched the proceedings yesterday with mixed feelings. That yes, whilst we can celebrate IBB today, but in 1993 and the years following that, it wasn't a celebration. A lot of people lived in fear, there was chaos, and unfortunately robbed a man who legitimately won that election, whether by his actions or inactions. So mixed feelings for me.
Mixed feelings. What about you?
Well, I think picture of the day, you're right. But I also noticed with interest that another professor, Professor Yemi Oshibaji, former vice president, just like me, is taking another career. He's delving into book review. I think it's the era of changes. The boy, expectedly, he did excellently. I hope he will say the same of me here now. I'll check out what he says. There is a point in June 12th that is being missed. I'm giving a lecture next month on June 12th, and one of the issues that we seem to miss is that the significance of June 12th in nation building. A lot of people voted for MKO for the election. Some people did not vote for him. But after that annulment, everybody came together to defend that sovereignty. And that's